The cowboy saved her from drowning. Then she asked the question that changed everything. Will you stay if I undress? What he discovered next was darker than any secret he could have imagined. If you enjoy stories like this, consider subscribing and stay till the end, because this one takes an unexpected turn. Wyoming Territory, year 1874 ago. Eli Walker rode alone through the mountains. He was an ex-Confederate soldier haunted by war, seeking peace in the wilderness. Then he heard it, a scream, high-pitched and desperate, coming from Wind River. He spurred his horse and rode hard toward the sound. He reached the riverbank and saw her, a woman in the water wearing a black dress, being pulled under, fighting and losing, drowning. Without hesitation, Eli dove in. The cold water shocked his system and the current was strong and deadly. He swam hard, grabbed her, and started dragging her to shore. She fought him, clawing and screaming. "No, let me go, let me drown, please." He held tighter and pulled harder until he got her to shallow water. He dragged her onto the rocks and she collapsed, coughing, crying, gasping. She was alive, against her will, against her plan. Alive. "Why?" she screamed at him. "Why did you save me? I wanted to die, I needed to die. You had no right." Eli stared, shocked. He had saved a suicide, not an accident. The woman looked up. She was young, beautiful, and destroyed. She wore widow's black with empty eyes and a broken soul. "Why did you save me?" "Because whatever you are running from, death is not the answer." The woman laughed, bitter and broken. "You know nothing, cowboy, nothing about me, nothing about what I have done, what has been done to me. Death is mercy, life is punishment." "Then tell me," Eli said. "Let me understand." She looked at him, really looked. She saw something in him, kindness, pain, recognition. A fellow sufferer. Maybe he would understand, or maybe he would finish what the river started. Either way, she had nothing left, nothing to lose. "My name is Clara Jensen, widow for 3 months. My husband Robert was a good man who died of cholera, fast and horrible. I buried him alone, prayed, cried, and tried to continue. Then his brother came. Matthew said I owed him the farm, my body, everything. He said Robert's debts were mine now. Matthew took everything, the farm, animals, furniture. Then he came for me. He said I would be his, willing or not. I fought." Eli's jaw clenched and his fists tightened. "Go on," he said, his voice tight and barely controlled. "I killed him," Clara said flatly. "He came at me again and I had a knife, a kitchen knife. I defended myself. But the law will not see it that way. A woman who kills a man, even a monster, she hangs. So I ran. I have been running for 2 weeks. They are hunting me, a posse, 10 men, getting closer. Death is coming either way. I chose the river." There was a long, heavy silence. Then Eli spoke. "You did nothing wrong, defense, survival. That is not murder, that is justice. But law out here is rough, fast, and unfair, especially to women. You are right to run, to fear. But death is not the answer, not for this." Clara laughed again, hopeless. "You, one cowboy, against 10, against the law, against the territory. What can you do? Nothing. Nobody can. I am dead already, a walking corpse on borrowed time. The river was faster, kinder, less painful than a rope, than hanging, than everything." Then Clara stood and turned to face him. "Eli, I have nothing left, nothing to offer, nothing to trade. But if you help me get somewhere safe, somewhere they will not find me, I will give you whatever you want, anything, everything." If you help me. Her hands moved to her dress buttons. Will you stay if I undress? Will that convince you, make you help me? I have nothing else, nothing but this body, this last thing men want, take. I offer it freely if you just help me live. Her fingers started unbuttoning slowly, deliberately, testing him. Stop. Ella's voice was a command. He stood and grabbed her hands gently but firmly. Stop. I do not want that, will not take that. You do not owe me anything, especially not that, never that. His eyes were fierce, honest, and kind. Clara froze, confused. Men always took, wanted, demanded. This one refused. Why? Because I do not help people for payment, for favors, for anything. I help because it is right, because you need help, because leaving you would make me no better than him, than them, than all the bastards who hurt you. I will not be that, not ever. Clara sank to her knees, not in seduction but in collapse. She sobbed great heaving sobs of relief, confusion, and grief. Everything released. Eli knelt beside her but did not touch, just remained present, there, a witness to her breakdown, to her release, to the beginning of healing. Maybe he was the first man who did not want something from her, the first who saw her as human, not object, not property. When her tears slowed, Eli spoke. We need to move, get you warm, dry, fed. Then we plan. My cabin is 10 miles north, remote, hidden, safe for now. They will not find you there. We get you strong and healthy, then we figure out the next step together, if you trust me, if you want my help. Clara took his hand. Her small cold hand fit in his large warm rough one. She stood, shaking from cold, from emotion, from everything. I trust you, she said quietly but truly. It was the first time in a long time she meant it, felt it. Something about him felt safe, different, real. Maybe hope existed after all. They rode double on his horse with her in front and his arms around her holding the reins, protective not possessive. She felt the difference, an important difference. 10 miles through darkness, through mountains, through cold. She leaned back against his chest. For the first time in months, she felt almost safe. His cabin was small, simple, and clean with one room, a fireplace, a bed, a table, just necessities and nothing more. He lit a fire and found dry clothes, his, too big but warm and dry and better. He turned away while she changed, again offering privacy and respect, foreign concepts but welcome changes. She dressed, standing and swimming in his shirt and pants. He turned and smiled slightly, approving but not leering. He made food, simple beans, bread, and coffee. She ate her first real meal in days, maybe weeks. Running, starving, surviving but not living. He watched, satisfied. When she finished he said, "Good, you need strength and rest. You take the bed, I sleep on the floor." She started to protest but he raised his hand. Non-negotiable. Rest, Clara, you are safe here. I promise. She slept deep and dreamless for the first time in forever. She woke to morning light and the smell of coffee and bacon. He was already up making breakfast. She watched from bed, studying this man who was a stranger yesterday but who had saved her twice, once from the river and once from herself, from despair, from giving up. Who was he really? That morning they talked, really talked. He told his story, Confederate soldier who lost the war, lost brothers, lost himself in blood and death. He came west to escape, to forget, to find peace, maybe redemption. They were both running, both broken, both trying to survive, to heal, to become something better than victims. Days passed and she healed physically and emotionally. He taught her shooting, tracking, and survival. She was quick, smart, and stronger than she knew, stronger than anyone had let her be. He saw not a widow, not a victim, not an object, but a warrior, a survivor, a woman becoming herself finally. Weeks became a month and something shifted between them. Not obligation, not gratitude, but something real. Looks lingered, touches were careful and intentional, speaking without words. Both felt it and neither spoke of it. It was too fragile, too new, too dangerous to name. But it was there, growing, undeniable, real. Then they came, the posse, 10 men led by Sheriff Kane. He was a hard man, righteous and blind to truth, to nuance, to real justice. They surrounded the cabin at dawn. Clara Jensen, come out. You are wanted for murder. Come peaceful or we burn you out. Your choice. Eli stood between Clara and the door with his rifle ready. Over my dead body, he called. She is innocent, it was defense not murder. You know Matthew Jensen, you know what he was, what he did. She defended herself, that is her right. The sheriff laughed. Law is law, cowboy. She killed a man, she hangs. Move aside. You want her, Eli said, his voice cold and deadly. You go through me. I am Eli Walker, Death Company, 3rd Regiment Confederate. I killed 43 men in the war, all legal, all sanctioned. I will kill 44 through 53 right here, right now if you force my hand. Test me, Sheriff, see if I am bluffing. The standoff was long and tense. Then a voice came from the posse. I know him, an old soldier said shakily. Eli Walker, Death's Hand they called him because everyone he touched died. Best shot, fastest draw in the regiment, maybe in the war. Sheriff, this man is not bluffing. We go against him and half of us die, maybe more. Is she worth it? The sheriff considered, looking at the determined cowboy, 10 scared men, and 1 woman. Not worth a massacre. Politics were difficult but alive to navigate was better than dead for principle. Clara Jensen, he called. You cross the territory line and never come back. You do, I forget this mercy. You stay, you hang. Clear. Final offer. Clara stepped into view beside Eli. I accept, she said, her voice strong and clear. This was a new voice, not a victim, not broken, but a survivor, a warrior. I leave the territory and never return. My husband is buried here but I must live, must survive, must choose life, not death, not anymore. Thank you, Sheriff, for your mercy. The posse left slowly, watching and wary, until they were finally gone. Clara collapsed into Eli's arms, shaking not from fear but from relief and release. It was over, really over. She could live, breathe, be free. She looked up at the man who stood between her and death and saw everything she needed to see, everything she wanted. Eli, she whispered. You risked everything for me. Why? He looked down at her in his arms where she belonged, where it felt right. Say it, she urged. Please say what I see in your eyes, what I feel when you are near, what has been growing between us. Say it, Eli, because I need to hear that what I am feeling is not alone, is not just me. Say it. I love you, he said simply and truly. I love you, Clara. From the moment I pulled you from the water, from the moment you fought to live against everything, I loved your strength, your courage, your survival. I love everything you are and everything you are becoming. I love you. She kissed him deeply, gratefully, lovingly. I love you too, she said against his lips. I think I loved you when you stopped me from undressing, when you saw me as human, as worthy, as more than a body, than an object. You saved me, Eli, in every way a person can be saved. They left together, crossing the territory line into Montana, into a new life, new names, new everything. He was still Elijah Walker, but she was now Clara Walker, his wife, his partner, his equal. She was no longer a victim, no longer a widow, but a woman who was free, alive, and loved. They built a cabin, a ranch, and a life together, side by side as equal partners, working, building, loving, and healing. Slowly the scars faded, not gone, and never gone, but less painful, less defining. They became part of the story, not the whole story. The past was not a prison but a foundation for a better future. Children came, 2 boys and 1 girl, strong and free. They grew up with parents who chose each other, who fought for each other, who loved without possession, without control, with respect, with partnership, with everything good parents should be, could be, and were. Years passed with peace and happiness. But then a letter came from Wyoming. Sheriff Kane was dying of cancer and wanted to confess the truth before death. Matthew Jensen had been investigated after Clara left. 3 other women were found dead on his property, buried, hidden, murdered. Clara was not a murderer, she was a survivor of a serial killer. The sheriff wrote more. He had known, suspected Matthew for years, but had no proof, no evidence until Clara killed him. Until they searched the property and found the bodies, found the truth. Clara was a hero, not a criminal. But by then she was gone and he let her stay gone, let her have the peace she deserved. This letter was his apology, his justice finally. They could return to Wyoming, cleared and innocent. But Clara looked at the ranch, at the children, at the life they built. "Why," she said. "We have everything here. The past is past and this is home, this is real, this is ours. Let the dead rest and let us live." Eli agreed completely. But one twist remained, one truth unspoken until the deathbed. Years later, Clara grew old and gray and was dying. She held Eli's hand, wrinkled now but still strong, still safe. It was confession time. "Eli, that day at the river, I did not slip, did not fall. I jumped. I chose death until you chose me, chose life for me. Thank you for saving the woman I did not know I could become." Eli smiled with tears on his weathered face. "I know," he said. "I always knew. Rivers do not pull strong swimmers under that fast. You chose the water and I chose you. We both made the right choice, the best choice, the only choice that mattered." Clara smiled, closed her eyes for the last time, and took her last breath in the arms of the man who saved her, loved her, and let her become herself. It was a perfect death after a perfect life. They buried her on a hill overlooking the ranch, the family, the legacy. Eli joined her 2 years later, unable to live without his other half. The stone read, Eli and Clara Walker. He saved her from drowning, she saved him from loneliness. Together they saved each other from the past and built a future. They loved completely. The question she asked, "Will you stay if I undress?" The answer was never about the body, about nakedness, about that. The answer was always, "I will stay because you are worth staying for, always, forever." This is love. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment and subscribe to help the channel grow. If this story made you feel something, show your support by liking and subscribing for more real stories like this.